Some nights I have trouble sleeping. My brain is on overdrive. I can't shut it off no matter how hard I try, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of you out there that can absolutely relate to that. One of the things I do to deal with that is I'll turn on Netflix and I'll watch some old TV shows that maybe I missed the first or even the second time around. One show that I recently picked up was a sci-fi show called Van Helsing. Think vampire apocalypse story, more like The Walking Dead meets Underworld, something like that. Van Helsing to me is one of the few TV shows that I would classify as pure horror, and I'm not talking blood and gore type of horror. I'm only one season in, and this show can be pretty bleak and nihilistic, and that to me is pretty terrifying in its own way. But there's one thing in particular that really stood out to me I want to talk about. I hate spoilers, so I hope this is spoiler free, but please bear with me a little bit. There's a member of the group of people that we're following who has, on a fairly regular basis, been murdering people. And I'm not talking people that fall in that gray area of good and evil in post-apocalyptic stories. These are people who are relatively innocent in this world. They're just killing for the sake of killing. When they're inevitably caught, the question of why is eventually answered, and the answer kind of stood out. They said, "It's just who I am, who I've always been." And I sat there and I nodded and thought to myself, yeah, that makes sense. What? Why? Why? In what world should that make sense? On one hand, it's nice to have somebody who doesn't depend on an abusive or destructive background in order to justify their behavior. They're just bad. And there are some people in the world who are just bad. Now, I don't think that applies to the overall population in general, but that's a big topic for maybe something in the future. We'll see something else in the future. On the other hand, I don't think there could be a more hopeless statement about humanity. This character arguably showed remorse for what they did. They hid it from the others so they wouldn't find out. They knew it was wrong, but even knowing it was wrong, they either didn't want to or couldn't change. It's just who they were. So if entertainment acts as a reflection on society, then what does that say about us? Can we not change? Can we not fix the things in our lives we want to make better? If people can be broken, can't they also be mended and healed? I have to believe we can, because otherwise how can I break my bad habits, follow my goals, and just try to be a better person? How can any of us? But when I first heard that line, "It's just who I am," how did I get to a point where that made sense? I don't actually know, but I used to write screenplays on a daily basis. I would write and revise all of the time, and I would get inspiration all around me, from someone walking down the street, sitting on a bench, to hanging out in a coffee shop. And I would draw these imaginary lives and empathize with these people, and by proxy, these characters. And all of these characters at their core had something that every good writer knows is vital, and that's a character arc. They're not the same person at the end of the story as they were at the beginning. Over the past few years, these bad habits that I'm trying to break have really ended up with me writing less and less. And when I reflect on things, I realize I have started to see people more as moments in time instead of works in progress. I haven't taken the time to really empathize with people like I used to, and to know that even the villains in our stories are on a journey of their own and they can change. And that should give us all hope. I don't want to sympathize with that character from Van Helsing. I want to feel sorry for them. We're not stuck in this place and time. We're not stuck in this worst version of ourselves. We make choices every single day that move us along on our journey, and at the end of it, we are going to be a different person. We will change. And that might even be the best definition of hope there is. And I just literally right now realized maybe that's why Van Helsing feels so hopeless. I'm not suggesting we all sit down and write stories so we can learn to empathize with other people. That's just what works for me. We should all be able to do that as easily as we wake up, take a breath, drink our coffee. If you don't drink coffee, pick a habit that is super easy for you and roll with it. Pick your poison. But it should be that easy, because that's part of what it means to live in this world. And not just other people too. I know that I need to do a better job empathizing for other people, and I also need to do a better job empathizing with myself and realizing that I can change. And I'm pretty sure most of us need to do that as well. I know that's a lot easier said than done. At the same time, it's a mess out there right now. Feels like we could all use a little more hope, and maybe one of the best ways to start with that is to start with ourselves. And maybe we can start by asking, what version of ourselves do we really want to be?